This is Yasuo. He's highly regarded as one of the most loved or hated champions depending on who you ask. On our quest to understand the brains of every League of Legends player, we've gone through many complex minds. But today we're entering one of the most deranged minds on the entire League of Legends spectrum. Even despite his release being nearly 12 years ago, even the greatest neuroscientists of our time have been unable to study the brain of a Yasuo player. Many have questioned if they even have a brain at all. And so I went out and conducted my own research. And at long last, we'll be able to explore all 5 regions of the Yasuo player's brain. And today's journey starts in the same place that every Yasuo player's journey starts. This is the Minion Highway Center. You see, Yasuo is one of the highest APM characters in all of League of Legends. He is also one of the most mobile characters in all of League of Legends. And when you do the math, that's when you'll understand why the most fidgety players in all of gaming all immediately flock to this character. So as we just mentioned, the Minion Highway Center is the first part of the brain that starts getting developed in the Yasuo player immediately. This is the part of the brain that makes them E through every single minion as if it's the law. This shows when the Yasuo player will E forward to try to Q you, and then E back after they miss. And in the process, they only took 200 damage from the minions. But this doesn't stop the Yasuo player, because once the Yasuo player gets enough practice doing this, they can actually outplay their laner sometimes. And Yasuo players get obsessed with this early aggression. And when there's a Yasuo player in your game, there's a very high chance that he will be involved in the first blood of the game. The question is whether he got the kill or was the kill. Because pretty much all Yasuo players are ADHD, and the fighting starts immediately. They never had the ability to sit down and learn how laning phase actually works. So as a result, they develop this part of their brain immediately. And next thing you know, they E through every minion on every wave, and every wave gets shoved in. And by pushing the wave forward, they make themselves vulnerable to the jungler. And this is how Yasuo players built such a notorious reputation. Because all the Yasuo players really want to do is E a lot of times and outplay people. They didn't sign up to learn things like warding and lane management. And it doesn't matter how many times they get ganked. It doesn't matter how far they fall behind. Because Yasuo players only know how to do one thing. And they want to E forward and keep fighting no matter how far behind they are. And this is all a result of the Minion Highway Center. But Yasuo's E isn't the only ability in his kit that they're obsessed with. Yasuo's ultimate, Last Breath, can be cast on any character on the enemy team that's been knocked up. And Yasuo himself only has one knockup that isn't always available. So the Yasuo players developed a second part of their brain. This is the Knockup Compatibility Index. This is the part of the brain that judges the Yasuo player's teammates in every draft. But they don't care about the meta or having a balanced team comp. Instead, the Yasuo player judges their teammates based on how many knockups their champion has. Yasuo players don't care about your macro or your objective control or your damage contribution. They only care if you have a knockup. And they've probably taken the time to memorize every single ability in the game by every champion that has a knockup, even if Yasuo is the only character they actually play. The Yasuo players have constructed an inner tier list within this index. Their absolute favorites in the S tier are champions like Malphite, Wukong, Ornn, Rakan, etc. In the middle tier are champions with limited or very short knockups that Yasuo may not react to. And in the bottom tier are champions that have no knockup ability at all. These are the champions that the Yasuo players deem utterly worthless. This region dictates their entire emotional connection to their team. You could be carrying as Jhin with 12 kills, but if you don't knock people into the air, Yasuo doesn't like you. Because in the Yasuo player's brain, teammates aren't players. They're not humans. They are just tools. And the Yasuo players always expect you to understand that they are the main character, not you. And your only job should be to enable them. And if you can't knock people up, you're just one more reason why he's 0-8. And that exact mentality is what will lead us into the third part of the Yasuo player's brain. This is the Power Spike Delusion Zone. One of the oldest and most iconic memes in League of Legends is Yasuo reaching his 0-10 power spike. Because everyone knows that once Yasuo gets 2 crit items, he's suddenly doing stupid amounts of damage for how far behind he was. And Yasuo players often embrace this philosophy. Yasuo players could play safe and farm up like everybody else. But instead, they chose to play Yasuo, knowing what that meant. So when they land their tornado on you when you're under tower, they're going in. Not because it's the logical thing to do, but because they're bored. And the Yasuo players know that even if it goes bad now, they'll catch back up later. Because golden experience isn't where Yasuo players get their biggest power spikes. They get theirs through emotional damage and repeated trauma. But even though they embrace a playstyle that gets them killed, they'll still type an essay in chat about how it's a jungle gap. And this will continue up until the point where the Yasuo player finally gets their power spike and they start getting kills again. Because now they can truly embrace that they were the main character, and they were right all along. And everyone else should have just trusted them and played around them more. And this region is why Yasuo players are so dangerous. It's not because of their mechanics or their mobility. It's because they're of the mindset that they genuinely believe they're always one fight away from greatness, no matter how many fights they've already lost. And this lets them feel way too comfortable dying 10 times, but sometimes they will come out of it and still carry. And this is why Yasuo has such a high ban rate. because nobody wants him on their team or on the enemy team. But if you want all the good Yasuos on your team and all the bad Yasuos on the enemy team, then you need to like this video and subscribe to the channel and comment which champion you want me to make a video for next. And once you've done that, we will proceed to the fourth part of the Yasuo player's brain. This is the practice tool Mythos. This part of the brain is hyperactive, disciplined, and entirely out of touch with actual League of Legends matches. This is the part of the brain that tells them that they'll be a better player if they spend 2 hours mastering the EQ flash combo at 2 AM, and that this was the missing piece that they really needed to win all of their games before. It feels more rewarding to them to spend an hour learning how to dash over the raptor pit than just watching a 30-second tutorial on where to place your wards. They feel a great sense of pride in knowing that despite their elo and despite their win rate on Yasuo, they at least know how to do the airblade combo. And even though this won't matter in 99% of their games, they will die trying to execute it in a real game. And if by some miracle they finally pull it off, they're gonna clip it and send it to everyone they know and forget about every failed attempt before that. And they're gonna roll that rock right back up the mountain until they can do it again. Because rather than consistency and game knowledge, this is what truly fulfills the Yasuo player. And they are lying to you if they tell you they aren't saving their clips for a montage. Because montage plays are the very thing that fuel the last part of their brain. This, of course, is the 1v5 dream complex. This type of dream complex is common among hypercarry champions, but for Yasuo, it's special. Yasuo is the poster child of League of Legends montages, and every true Yasuo player has watched at least a few of these. Yasuo players are like the emo kid in high school dramas. They get bullied the whole movie and nobody likes them. But then at the end of the movie, they start playing guitar in front of all of the people that made fun of them, and suddenly, they're the coolest kid in school. This is the type of logic that goes through the Yasuo player's brain when they reach late game and they can finally redeem themselves. They lock in so hard on the thought of a 1v5 dream scenario that they completely forget about what's happening in their own game. And the Yasuo player will never deprive themselves the opportunity to try. They're gonna find themselves outnumbered and in a horrible situation. But if there's a minion wave, there's a way. And they'll pull out all of their wildest mechanics to try and turn this unwinnable fight, because they saw this in a montage before. And so they will flip the entire game on this one opportunity. And the fate of the other 9 players relies solely on what Yasuo does in this situation. And this is exactly how the Yasuo player always wanted it, to be the main character. And if they win, they'll be praised by everyone and add a new clip to their montage. And if they lose, then that's a burden that they're willing to carry. And that is what it truly means to be a Yasuo player. And this will conclude our study on the brain of a Yasuo player. Subscribe for more knowledge.